Hello and welcome back to the When You're Podcast, the podcast for when you're doing anything. Today we're talking about when you're watching Trap. This movie, I just want to say this one thing, okay? I watched it in theaters. The movie was good. I really couldn't find. I could and I couldn't find some flaws in it. I don't. In the moment, I was just kind of like waiting for like the story to like. I was expecting a bigger twist per se. I don't know. I there were some things about it, but anyways, I'm gonna talk about it. Spoilers for the movie Trap by M. Night Shyamalan. If you haven't watched the movie, I'm not gonna say it's a must, but if you're into that kind of thing, like I was interested in the movie when I saw the trailer and everybody was like clowning on it. Well, not clowning on it, but they were kind of like the trope of M. Night Shyamalan movies is that like there's a twist to them, like there's a twist to the story. There's like some wild twist, you know what I mean? With like his other past movies that he's done is like there's some sort of twist to it. And the basic premise of the movie is there's a serial killer at a concert and the police know he's at the concert, and because they know he's at the concert, they have to they set a trap for him so that way he can't escape or get in and out. So that's the basic idea. And I saw the trailer and I thought, hey, that's a pretty cool idea. It's like going to be this intellectual battle where they're trying to find him, but they can't find him. It's going to be like this mental gymnastics. It's going to be kind of like hard for him to weave his way out of there. And especially because his daughter's there with him. They're going to I'm going to a concert that his daughter likes. So there's kind of that mental load on him. And the way that the trailer kind of played it made it seem like he was going to be all over the place and that he was going to be really cunning and smart and really try to figure his way out of the venue, out of the concert. But and I'm not saying he didn't do any smart things. I'm just saying that like the things he does. I mean, spoilers, okay? Spoilers for the movie. All right, so let me start at the beginning. I think right off the bat, I already knew that he was the serial killer, or quote unquote the serial killer. People were making fun of the idea that the daughter was actually the serial killer and the dad was just like her lackey or whoever. So she was enjoying herself and he was kind of like freaking out a little bit because he would probably get in trouble for it and they would never suspect her. But the idea isn't who is the serial killer, it's the how does he escape this. And I think they start early on by trying to make it so that I like him, like he has a sense of humor about him, he loves his daughter, they're going to a concert, like he's a caring father, you know? There was no wife in the trailer, right? Like we don't see his family life, we don't see the outer scope of it. All we really kind of see is him at the concert. And I kind of like that taste of it. And then later on in the movie, obviously we get a look into his family life. But what I'm talking about is at the start of the movie, we're supposed to like him through his daughter. That's how we get like some sort of attachment to him. That's how we separate, the happy, loving father, but he's, in his private time, he's actually this evil guy who needs to be caught. So it's kind of like this thing where like you know the character is bad, but then you're actually kind of rooting for them. So that's kind of the scenario that we're in. And really early on, we see him catch a glimpse of like the cops and the security and like the people around. And he's kind of like, turning from caring, loving father to essentially he turns it on where he's like, oh snap, they figured me out. They're here, they're going to catch me eventually. They're going to do everything they can to make sure that I can't, escape from this. I'm going to be trapped in here for sure. So I was kind of expecting him to I was expecting the totality of the movie to take place inside of the concert, inside of the stadium, and have him slowly but surely, like, create obstacles and ways to make it in the cop's eyes at least, seem like it's somebody else so he can escape. Like that's what I thought the whole premise of the movie was going to be. Instead, it turned into a different one. Okay, so in the movie, he gets multiple ideas or opportunities or things where he can kind of escape. Like, there's a part in the movie during the concert where they have like a surprise guest and artists pop out from underneath the floor. It's like one of those, it's like a stage door, but at the very bottom, and then out comes like a part of the stage with like railing that the artist can like walk on. It was Russ, and he's like walking out there, and they have like this open door at the bottom where it's like there's a possible way to get backstage and escape. And the dad, you know, he's kind of like being weird about it. He wasn't very clever or cunning about it. He was just kind of like, hey, let's go down there. It was just kind of like weird. And like the daughter was like, no, we can't do that. Like that's so weird. So that kind of closes the door on that. And then the stage, and then it obviously goes away. Like they cover it back up. So I was kind of like bummed out about that. I was like, why show us that if it doesn't come back again later? But anyways. And then he kind of notices, or when he finds out that they're after him, and he kind of notices the whole, you know, the whole thing about like, what's the password? It's, darn it, I forgot the passcode. I think it was Sagittarius. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Let's just say it's Sagittarius, right? Like that's the passcode. And then he has to have some sort of card or ID. Anyways, I liked that aspect, but it wasn't really clever. It was really just him asking and stealing stuff. So he steals one of the cops' walkie-talkies and earpiece so he can hear what they're saying. He figures out from the guy what the passcode is. He steals one of the employees' wallets, so he has like the card to prove that he was there at the meeting. He like places some oil in oil so that way it explodes and causes a scene. Like he doesn't really escape. You know what I mean? He doesn't really get out of there. And then I just kind of felt like there was more he could have done. I feel like there was more that he should have done. There could have been moments where he grabs somebody's wrists and he kind of places like let's say some sort of like a tattoo on their wrist or something like that, right? Like, I don't know, because one of the big things or identifiers of him is like he's a white male, he has a tattoo of an animal on his wrist, and he's blah, 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 blah. So I think they needed more of like a strategy or like a certain way of like attacking it. You know what I mean? It's like there needed to be a way to catch him, but also like a way for him to leave. It just felt like all of the, obviously he's surrounded, but there needs to be like, oh yeah, no, he's good, he checks out. Like there needs to be some sort of connect. I don't know. It didn't really come off like this mental battle strategy. It just kind of felt like he was escaping. He was like, he went out and then he goes back in. He goes out and then he goes back in. And it's like they have the cameras looking at everything. They didn't see him steal the guy's, you know what I mean? There's nobody on the monitors that saw him steal the wallet. There's no monitors that saw him, you know, backstage with one of the employees talking about merch. There's no cameras on him when he's about to pull the fire emergency. There's none of that. You know what I mean? It's just kind of weird. It's like, and then you see them actively looking on the monitors and they're like, nah, we don't have anything. And it's like, what? There are multiple, you know what I mean? It just felt like there were multiple opportunities or chances where you could have ID'd him and just been like, that was weird that he also went out onto the roof. that he had roof access. It's also really weird that, he's walking in and out of the concert at all times. It's also pretty weird that he's any number of things, okay, that he does inside of the stadium that could have gotten him caught. It just didn't feel right. And so, essentially, during the concert, he finds out from his daughter that there's this dreamer girl who gets brought out on stage with the artist, the performing singer on stage and whatnot, and she's kind of like the big deal. And so he lies to an employee somehow, some way. And the employee just so happens to be her uncle. And he's like, yeah, my daughter beat cancer and she's pretty shy about it and she would love to be a dreamer girl. And he was like, where are you guys sitting? And then he takes them backstage, and that's where she kind of gets to go on stage with the artist. It becomes like this whole thing, right? So essentially he lies and scams and schemes his way backstage with the artist. He covers up his tattoo. Like, he makes it through security and everything, okay? Now, that was that's luck-based, all right? Because most of the time, you're not going to get that opportunity to talk to the literal uncle and the person, like, behind the scenes who gets to choose the dreamer girl. But in this instance, let's just say, we'll let that slide. We'll just let it go. And then once he gets back there, he kind of, like, figures out a way to avoid the police or to stay low or just to quote unquote stay out of reach or out of the eyes of the police or the investigators, the FBI looking into him. And so eventually he's kind of like, damn, I'm stuck here, you know what I mean? I'm not really gonna get out. So then this is the part that irks me a little bit, is that, like, he doesn't cunningly or smartly figure a way out. He straight up tells the big pop star, the big artist, that he's the serial killer, shows her that he's going to kill somebody if she doesn't help them escape, and that, you know what I mean? I was just kind of like, what is your plan here? You just revealed to the biggest pop star in the world that you're the serial killer, and now just to get out of the building, and now she's gonna obviously tell the police she's working with them to trap you. So it was just like, what was his game plan? Like, that didn't really work. I just wanted him to be a little bit more cunning, or a little bit more. I wanted him to be sneaky and smart about things. I didn't want him to, I didn't want him to reveal it, essentially. I wanted it to be found out, but I didn't want him to reveal it to her. It just didn't sit right with me. I was like, why are you doing this? Like, she's the biggest pop star in the world. You know what I mean? That's like ISIS going up to Taylor Swift and being like, we're going to bomb, one of your concerts, which I think is like something that's actually, there's like a terrorist attack, supposed, alleged terrorist attack or something that was going to happen at one of her concerts, okay? But that's like them going directly to her and being like, listen, we're going to do this. We're going to blow the place up. God forbid, but they're like, we're going to blow this place up, right? And then she's like, police, you know what I mean? It's like, what did you think was going to happen? You're not going to get the opportunity now. You're not going to get the chance. So it's like he was using her to escape, but now he's found out. Like, you know what I mean? There's no going back after that. So I was just like, why do that? Why do that at all? So then he thought, okay, they'll give us a ride to our car. We'll drive home and that'll be the end of it. But then she's like, actually, let me go to your house. And now it's this dynamic where they both know something and the daughter's oblivious. And now they're going to her house and the whole thing just kind of spirals from there. And then just when I think the movie is like, kind of like wrapped up so to speak, or like, you know what I mean? It can't get any deeper. It gets even deeper. So it goes from the pop star finding out to the pop star showing up at the house, singing a song for whatever reason, stealing his phone, going into the bathroom, talking to her followers and being like, listen, everybody, I need you to find this house. There's somebody who's going to die there. Get him out of there. They find the guy, they get him out. The father's trying to get the daughter and all the family members up to the roof. I mean, up to another room so they don't see him, like kind of being aggressive. And then there's the police coming to the house, and then the family finding out. He has a wife and a son as well. And I was just kind of like, why aren't they at the concert as well? You know what I mean? But I guess maybe a little father-daughter time. I don't know. But anyways, then it's just a chain of reaction. Now it's like, now that the police have his name, now that they have his address, now that they know basically that they found the guy because he admitted it to the pop star, it's like, okay, not only did we save the person you were going to kill, now we're on your heels. We're right behind you. So then he escapes through a secret tunnel he made in the house. No. First he tries to escape with the pop star, holding her hostage. But then she escapes using some sort of mommy tactic, which is like, I guess, psychological and emotional trauma that he faced. And that's why he is the way that he is, why he is violent or is a serial killer. You know what I mean? It's all rooted in his mother issues. You know what I mean? It's emotional and psychological trauma, and they use that against him because the FBI told her about like his psychosis and how to mentally, like, if you're trapped by him, this is how you talk to him, or this is a way to kind of mess with him a little bit. So that was another tactic. And then eventually the pop star leaves the car, runs to the family and is like, everything's going to be okay, guys. Talks to the police, tells them that, hey, we're going to be good here. You go get him. And that's when Josh Hartnett, that's when he escapes through tunnels that he made in the house to escape the police. And so he escapes the police, and then somehow he takes the limo driver's hostage, or he kind of like takes the limo driver's clothes, imitates being the limo driver of the pop star, the one that drove him to their house. And he kind of like plays as her limo driver. He handcuffs her back in the limo and she's trying to escape or whatnot. And then he's like driving out and about during this festival, and the car is surrounded by fans that recognize the pop star. And they kind of tell her like, oh my gosh, I love you. And she's like, get help. The maniac, the butcher is driving the car. And so then he makes like this makeshift, dummy doll out of literal merch, out of the pop star's merch. And he disguises it to look like the driver. And the car is stopped, and he escapes that way and like fades into the crowd of people. And then he walks home. There's like no police at his house, right? Well, there is, but there isn't. So he makes it back home and he confronts his wife. He's like, I was wondering how the police found out that I was at the concert. I was wondering how people figured it out. And the wife is like, yeah, I wonder. And he was like, you figured it out. You thought it was something else. You thought I was cheating on you. Something was off. What was it? And she goes, it was the smell on your clothes. Your clothes are what gave it away. There was a smell of alcohol on it that wasn't, that didn't associate with your job. It just smelled weird. And yeah, I thought you were having an affair, and it's not an affair. You're a serial killer, and you're trying to murder people. You're slashing and slitting people's throats. You're being crazy. You need to stop this. You're a madman. And then he was just kind of like, damn it. It's like, you couldn't just keep well enough alone. And she was like, I didn't know. And so I sent the ticket stub to the police, just trying to figure it out, just trying to see if it was true or not. I didn't know. And then that's how it all figures out, right? And then she goes, let's just enjoy this last time together with some pie that our daughter made. And he was like, this is a small piece of pie. I'm going to eat this in like 5 bites. And she's like, yeah, I know. They sit down at the table, and then Josh Hartnett says some stuff. I don't remember the exact monologue or the things that he talks about, but he's eating this pie, right? And he literally like licking like the crumbs off of the plate. And he like spreads his fingers out onto it, or like he rubs it, and there's like this powder on it. And I was like, oh, what do I care? And he's like, dang it, you went through my bag. And when he was about to kidnap the pop star in like his Tesla, he had like this to-go bag, and then the to-go bag were like zip ties to like bind people, maybe like a knife or something, and like some, knockout, what's it called, drug to like incapacitate his victims, like to knock them out. So he gets them to ingest that, and he realizes that she put it on the bottom of the pie or on the pie, and he was like, damn, you went through my bag. And she was like, yeah, I did. And she didn't eat any of the pie herself. And so then the FBI comes, and then they start tasering him. They shoot him with the taser, and he fights it, and then he kills one of the cops, I think, if I remember correctly. And I was like, I was expecting this supernatural twist. It's like he doesn't just slash and cut people up with a knife. He can physically, like, he's a menace, you know what I mean? He's like a monster. He's like Split, you know what I mean? Whereas like the guy can like turn into like this beast sort of a thing, like supernatural strength. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the twist. Here comes the twist. But no, they just taser him some more, and then he knocks out. And essentially they get him. They're like, we got him. And as he's all chained up, his daughter comes over to him, gives him a final hug. He's like, please let me just have this. He's like, damn, I always wanted to keep my lives separate. They need to be separate. They can't merge together. And then there was like, what else was there? Oh, he was kind of like, my last act as a father will be putting up this bike in its natural position. So he like fixes the bike and stands it upright, my bad. It was laying down, he put it upright with everything. He was like, I can't believe it, they got me good. And they walk him over to the vehicle, and they put him away. And he's in the truck, and they're driving away. And that's the end of the story, essentially. Except when he was putting up that, almost forgot this small little detail. When he was putting up the bicycle, he stole one of the wheels. You know how like they put the metal rods in the wheel so that way you can like, I don't know, the stability of the wheel is okay. Like, I don't know what they're called per se. They're not rims. They're just these little metal rods throughout the wheel, so that way it's like, I don't know what that does per se, but it's a little metal rod, okay? When he was putting the bike up, he ripped one of those metal rods off, slipped it in his sleeve of his long sleeve shirt, all right? He slipped it up in there, and then he hid it until he got into the van, pulls it out, bends it, and then undoes his handcuffs and leg cuffs. And then essentially we're supposed to believe that he's going to escape again. Like, he's free now. He's like, man, the whole world knows my secret. They know my face. I've escaped the cops and avoided the cops numerous times. And now I am just been freed again, and I'm not going to jail or prison. So I guess he's going to start life anew or all over again, or figure out some way to mask his identity, because I guess they were kind of setting up for like he's going to come back or do more, or like he escapes and goes underground. I don't know what the plan was, but I just know that it feels like they're headed towards like a second movie or like another a follow up perhaps of like just seeing what he does. I don't, it could be any number of things, but for me, in my eyes, it kind of looks like that's the direction they're heading. Like they're looking at this as like a franchise, the Trap franchise. Like they're gonna have him trapped again, and he's gonna have to escape this time. Maybe through brute force, maybe through more intellectual matters again. Maybe they use his family against him. You know what I mean? I don't know what they do or how he gets away, but the way the movie ended, it just seemed like, all right, I'm free again, and I'm gonna escape and. I was trapped, but now I made it out because I'm so smart. But it's like, you're just a really good thief, and that's about it. So, overall, when you're watching Trap, I think you should look at it like, really, really, you need to see this from the FBI's perspective of like the whole story of like their plan and their setup, all right? And then you kind of get the full picture, you know what I mean? You see things from his perspective of like how he escaped, you know what I mean? How they bungled the whole investigation, how they messed up the whole investigation. So it's like, man, we should have got him here. So really, when you see the movie for the first time, you see it from his perspective. Then, if you watch it again, but like, you should also see it from like the FBI or the police's side, or like put yourself in their shoes of like, you should have gotten this guy here and here and here, and you should have noticed that, and you should have kept an eye on this person, or you know what I mean? You should have had that scope on. So when you're watching this, just kind of look at it from two perspectives, and I don't know, enjoy the music. The music was pretty good. I wasn't like, oh wow, like I would play this myself. Like I was just like, oh, it's just, it felt like just like movie music. But apparently M. Night Shyamalan's daughter is the singer, so I don't know if that music is actually real or if that music is just like made for the movie. So, I haven't listened to it, but either way, it was pretty good. I thought it was nice. I thought it was pretty cool. Very talented. She's talented. She has a great voice. And if that was really her playing the piano, then more power to her. You know what I mean? It just, for me, I was just kind of like, this is cool movie music. I didn't think too much of it, but it's cool. You know what I mean? If you like that sort of thing. And yeah. Cool. Good. So that's why I give it like, okay, good movie. I don't want to say it was like, oh man, I was so surprised. I kind of felt like it's going somewhere, but then it kind of like fades away. It's like, oh man, like I wanted a little bit more, maybe like more of a twist or something, I just wanted more of like a puzzle to get out. But anyways, it subverted my expectations. Maybe not in a good way, but it was just different than what I thought, what my expectations were going to be. So, anyways, when you're watching the movie, just go with the flow, I guess, and try to see the different perspectives or how they can do better next time, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.